Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. And in this video, what I'm going to talk about is Peter Faulding. Now, I've come to realise a couple of comments that some of my newer subscribers have put. Some people are still just coming into this case. You know, obviously we always presume that everybody will know about the Nicola Bulley case because it's been so all over the media. But some of my newer subscribers from different countries, for example, don't know the full story of this case. They're just coming onto this case now. You know, they've started watching my videos and they don't always know the full background as we lead up to the inquest now on the 26th of June. That's why I'm doing these back to basics videos, you know, to just remind us of some things that have happened, because there's been so much it's like there's so much has happened but nothing, if you like. Nothing's happened but everything's happened. And there's lots of things that we maybe have forgotten, or new people who are just taking an interest in this case now didn't know about. And somebody mentioned in one of my comments about Peter Faulding, you know, because of course he's not involved in the case at all now. So if you weren't there from the beginning following this case, you perhaps wouldn't know anything about him or why he was ever involved in it and what happened, etc. Because we're now in this void until the 26th of June, aren't we? So until the 26th of June, we won't know anything, or they won't know it. If we've been following it from the beginning, we know about Peter Faulding and what happened. But if you were just coming to see about this case now, you wouldn't know. And I haven't actually said much about Peter Faulding, you know, not concentrated on him. Now, I know it's funny, there's some sort of, if you like, I wouldn't say characters, because they're not characters, because they're real people. But some of the people that have been involved in this case, in fact, probably nearly all of them, they're quite divisive, and you know, we take opposite views to them. You know, some people think that Peter Faulding is fantastic. I personally am one of those people. I've got a lot of respect for Peter Faulding. I don't think he did anything wrong. Well, I'll come on to talk about that later, how I feel. And then other people feel, you know, that Peter Faulding is some sort of complicit in things, or I don't know, that he's not a genuine person, that he's not a genuine search guy, and he's just in it for his own enrichment or whatever, or to promote his book. And I don't take that view at all, and I'm going to explain why. But there's a lot of people that do. So he's very polarizing, isn't he? It's like with Jason Rothwell as well, the guy that actually discovered Nicola's body. You know, you get comments saying nice things about him, comments saying terrible things about him. People may, you know, again, I don't feel that about Jason. I don't feel a bad feeling about him. But I'm going to look at that in another video. Today I'm looking at Peter Faulding. But we all have our opinions, and we're entitled to our opinions. So if your opinion is different to mine, I'm not challenging that you in that. I'm just explaining how I feel and why I feel the way I do. And, you know, as always, if you've got an opposite comment to make, that's fine, as long as you do it respectfully. Please, you know, tell me what you think in comments. I always like to know what people think, as long as they're not sort of rude or aggressive about it. Life is about debate. Life is a battle of ideas. When there's no evidence, when nothing's true, or not that we know yet, you know, there's no official line, we are going to speculate, and we are going to use our opinions. But I would never say something is factual unless I know that it is factual. And everything on here, well, there are some things that are factual about Peter Faulding, the actual facts of what he did and who he is, but whether you believe he's a person to be relied on, you know, in what he says, or whether you believe that he just totally made a whole mess of the whole thing, that is your opinion. So that is not, they are not facts. And well, here are the facts. Let's have a look at Peter Faulding. Who is he? Who is he? How did he get involved? I wonder sometimes if he thinks, oh my God, I wish I'd never bothered getting involved in this case, you know, because it's brought him a lot of, you know, his reputation. He has a good reputation. He has always had a good reputation. So he's on the list, wasn't he, of official sort of agencies, private agencies that could help the police in certain searches and things like that. And now he's not on that list anymore. So he must perhaps be wishing he'd never bothered offering his help or agreeing to help. But I just want to talk a little bit about him. Don't know loads about him. I think he was born in July, and I believe he was born in 1962. If you're watching this, Peter, maybe you can correct me on that, but I couldn't find your birth date. Let me just have another look. Let's see what it says on here. Because unfortunately you don't have a Wikipedia page. That's what you need, so that people can look up information about you. I mean, not that it's relevant, but people like to know these sort of things, don't they? They just like to get an idea of the person. Yeah. See, when you go, I can't find anything with his date of birth. And if his date of birth is, where did I get that from? I must have seen it somewhere. But that would make him 60. Looks good. If that is his genuine age, he looks younger than that. So let's see if we can see it. It's on LinkedIn. So will it be there? I don't know. Oh. I mean, from what I've seen of Peter Faulding, it doesn't matter how old he is. It comes over to me as a very genuine guy. It doesn't come over to me as anyone who's got any hidden agenda. This is his job. This is what he does. He has his own business doing searches, etc. And, you know, he is, that's what he does. That's his profession. He's the chief executive of Specialist Group International. That's the company's name that's registered at Companies House, and this is what he does. This is his profession. So, you know, he should be paid for it for a start, because at the end of the day, that's his job. What job does anyone do that they don't get paid for? You know, but he does quite often offer his services for free. He does a lot of talks at schools, etc. And, you know, especially in the summer, he's saying in the summers, a dangerous time for people going swimming in rivers, etc., isn't it? And that's when most of the unfortunate accidents happen. So he goes and does awareness talks. He uses a lot of his own money to provide life jackets and things like that. So from what I've seen of him so far, in that, you know, and I've watched quite a few interviews with him, I think he's a very interesting guy. I think he's got a lot to offer, and I think he is a genuine guy. That's how he comes over to me anyway. So apparently he lives with his family house. She's married with children, and he lives on a farm in West Sussex with a load of animals. So that's another reason that I like him, because he always comes over as an animal lover. You know, and that's always a plus as far as I'm concerned. So now he's got a book coming out. Now this book was already coming out, so it's not that he rode on the back of Nicola Bulley to write this book. This book was already programmed to be coming out from October, as far as I could see, October last year, but it has just come out, I think. And it's called What Lies Beneath: My Life as a Forensic Search and Rescue Expert. So I read the blurb that says about the author. Now, I must admit, this will have been written by him or certainly his team, so it's bound to be positive. But about the author, as far as his book is concerned, says, Peter Faulding is a world-leading confined space rescue and forensic search specialist. He has pioneered the use of side-scan sonar in forensic searches for missing persons underwater in the UK and is a world leader in underwater search techniques. He has assisted in the search of many cold cases and has located human remains and evidence that had gone undetected for years in some of the most remote locations on land and underwater. Peter is a qualified commercial diver, helicopter and fixed wing pilot, and holds both a UK and United States FAA pilot's license. What Lies Beneath is his first book. Okay, so that's him. He's helped on the April Jones case. For those of you who don't know about that case, little April was a 5-year-old Welsh girl who went missing in 2012, and he volunteered in that search to help look for April. Unfortunately, April was never found. Only bone fragments were found of April. That's a truly sort of heartrending story of April Jones and what happened to her. But anyway, he volunteered his services. I remember at the time, following that case, and I didn't know about Peter Faulding then, but I remember seeing all the divers in the rivers, etc., looking for any trace of her, for the few days before the person who did it was arrested. But yeah, so he was involved in that case. He's been involved in several sort of high-profile cases. Peter Tobin, he was a serial killer, and Peter Faulding was involved in searching some of the searches, trying to find some of his victims, etc. Peter Tobin's a particularly nasty, horrible man. Maybe one day we'll do a video on him. I don't think I would do a video about the April Jones case because I don't really like doing videos about children because I get too upset. But, the thing is their stories deserve to be told all the same. But anyway, that's for the future. Today we're talking about Peter Faulding. Now, he says that they searched that area of the rivers. So how did he even get involved in the first place? So this is a little bit murky because he says that the family asked him. But when it came to there was Paul and Emma, Batman and Robin, Romeo and Juliet. This Paul and Emma are always together. When you saw them with, why was Emma there? The more I think about that, I just don't know why she was there. So they say that the family brought them in, but what do they mean by the family? Do they just mean Paul, or were Dot and Ernie involved in it, and the sister as well? I don't know, because you never saw them with Paul at all. Or the only person we saw with Paul on that riverbank was Emma. So they apparently brought them in. He volunteered his services. So, you might tell, well, he did it to promote his book or whatever. But he volunteered so he gave his services for free. He was requested to help and he gave his services for free. And he says that they searched that area for 4 hours, that part of the river where, Nicola's body was found eventually. He says they searched it for 4 hours, but they weren't given the whole information. In other words, they weren't told that Nicola was a vulnerable missing person, and that he's saying that changes the search, obviously, because I suppose if they're presuming she's gone in there accidentally, that's one thing. But if they're presuming that she threw herself in or that because of her, you know, what did they call them, vulnerabilities, he should have been told that, because he never got the foot, because he doesn't only do river searches, he does land searches as well. So what he was saying basically is, you know, if he'd known that, he would have looked more at land searches and things. And, you know, with his experience, he's got experience in finding people who may have taken themselves off somewhere. So he says that they searched for 4 hours. I mean, the sonar equipment that they use, I mean, it is so precise. You can see footprints on the river, on the bottom of the river and things like that from it. So if Nicola's body would have been in that river, he would have found it. The only thing he says is that the sonar does not penetrate reeds. Only a riverbank and wade search could have done that, but of course, because he wasn't tasked with that, so of course he had to work alongside the police. Even though he was brought in with Paul and Emma, he had to work alongside the police, so he could only do what the police really allowed him to do, I suppose. He says he wasn't tasked with the searching of reeds, etc. So I mean, you know, depending on what you think, you know, and I don't care what anyone says, we're all being speculative because none of us know exactly what happened. We hope the coroner knows what happened. But until we know something official, we're all just saying what we think happened. And, you know, do we think she was, some people think she was not in the river at that time. I'm sure the coroner will be able to tell that, surely. The coroner will be able to tell how long she was in that river. You know, this is why we're all sort of waiting with bated breath for the confirmation. We've not had confirmation one way or the other. You know, if you say, oh, well, she'd definitely be in the river all that time, or no, it looked like she'd, he must know, surely he must be able to tell that. Anyway, so after saying categorically that area is completely negative, there is no sign of Nicola in that area, he categorically said she was not in that area. After he said that, of course, this is what just strikes me very strange as well, is did then the police just give up searching? Because when Jason Rothwell was walking along the riverbank that day, why weren't the police still searching until she was found? I just don't understand that. If they thought she definitely, they said from the beginning they thought she'd gone in the river. So if they really, really did think that, even though he said that in that section that he'd searched, there was no sign of her, they still should have been looking until they found her. Surely, I just don't know why. You know, as Jason and his friend were walking along there was nobody else out except for, you know, another YouTuber who was taking a video, etc. But I don't know why the police weren't monitoring that area. If they were the ones who said they were so convinced she was in there. You know, even though the rest of us thought what, but they said that. So why weren't they there until she was found? That, you know, that to me is a very strange thing. Anyway, I'm going to play a couple of videos of Peter, actually, so you can hear in his own words what he thought of everything. So let's see. Now, you know,
this is a really odd one. I mean, the phone being found on a bench, normally if someone would trip, they would have their phone in their hand. You know, the dog being dry, people been after dogs. This is why a lot of they jumped the dogs, but it was found dry, so clearly didn't go in the river. And that's what gets my suspicion about this case. It's a very, very odd one, and it appears, and I'm not on the scene, that there isn't any marks where she fell in. Nicola fell in down into the river, so it's a bit odd. And again, the dog harness was live, where normally the dog was seen wearing the harness. So, you know, I don't actually know. It's very strange case, this one.
Yeah, very. So there you go. That's what he had to say about it. You know, I think we have to listen to him and what he's saying. I mean, he knows, he's been there, he was there on the scene. He's, you know, he knows what he's talking about. So I personally, I take what he says is true, I think. Now, of course, he can't say anything now. Nobody, since Nicola's body was found, nobody can say anything because the coroner has put this sort of gagging order on everybody, including the police. Nobody can say anything on social media about this case until the inquest on the 26th of June, which still feels such a long time away. But so he can't comment anymore now, but that's what he said then. Okay, let's have another look at another video of him talking. Yeah, so I think this is the video of him talking after he decided they hadn't found anything, no trace, etc. So he didn't think she was in that section of the river.
What just needs another bit of a search to do, and then at the end of the day we'll be here. Our kit will stay here, but we're all tired. I had 3 hours sleep last night, so we're all extremely tired. We've been doing long days, and it's mentally draining because the pressure's on me to, you know, try and. I said that if Nicola's here, I'll find her. If Nicola was in that river, I would have found her. I can guarantee you that. She wouldn't have. We would have found her, and she's not there in that section of the river up there. It's down that section, the lower section, right the way down where we haven't searched. That's not my responsibility. That's the police's responsibility to do that area. Well, Paul's extremely, obviously, upset. He wanted to go and see where the original entry point was again, and the water's a bit lower than it was originally when Nicola went missing. And he's a clear, well, all the family are clearly distraught, like anyone would be. And it's not a place to be. It's upset for me, dealing with the family, and dealing with a loved one who's gone missing. And I'm just trying to explain what work we're doing and give him some confidence that Nicola is not in that river over there. And obviously the police are doing all the background work. They're explaining what they're doing. So it's one big team effort to try and find Nicola at the moment.
So yeah, what do we think? I mean, really, we can only try and judge. Does he know what he's doing? Did he know what he was talking about? When he said at the end of it, she was categorically not in the river. Is that true? I mean, right, I want to show you another video now. Somebody else talking, this guy, I think is the ex-commissioner of police. Let me just, anyway. Yeah, former Met Police Commissioner Dal Babu, who doesn't think much of Peter Faulding, as you'll see here. Now, who's right? You know, anyway, you can make your mind up, but let's have a look. I'm going to put this.
Expert says, had he known about the vulnerabilities, he would have talked differently and searched the social media. Feel police weren't serious media, people will be careful about the wide circulation of parties.
Well, he made out that he knew exactly what he was doing. Police just says, guarantee. I've been the family liaison officer, being gold for this, and I think that speculated about this. Who've been and I think we've got all those individuals. I mean, some of my ex-colleagues have been talking absolute rubbish. You know, they've been talking about, oh, why hasn't the bench been taken? Some of them turned up and says, well, you know, this is a appalling investigation. Now, people just need to have kept their mouths shut, listened to what the police are saying, and showed some respect to the family.
So, what do we think? What do we think? Is he right? I mean, have the police been disrespected? You know, should we have listened to the police right from the beginning? Their very first, well, certainly after a couple of days, when their very first press conference, when they said, yes, you know, our working hypothesis is that she's gone in the river. However, later in their second press conference with Rebecca Smith, she said it was just one of their working hypotheses. Now, are the police justified in what they said? Because Nicola was found in the river. At the end of the day, Nicola was found in the river, and they said from the beginning they thought she was in the river. But why do they think that? Is there something more that they know that they haven't released to us? Because there was no CCTV, was there? There's no proof. Now, even the witnesses now have withdrawn, withdrawn their statements and things. So this timeline is a load of rubbish, to be honest. People keep talking about, oh, well, you know, the timeline was this, and what time the dog, nobody knows, because it's been changed that many times. I don't know what the timeline is. I don't think the police know what the timeline is, unless they know something we don't. You know, they started off saying one thing, and you know, the only things they know for sure in the timeline are when she went onto the works call, when she sent the text to her friend. Well, it may not say her, but in my opinion, it wasn't her. Somebody else logged into the works call. Somebody else sent the text to the friend. Because the things that Nicola would have done, you know, about the spa date with her sister and confirming, she would have, those texts, etc., didn't happen. So these ones that did happen, they were just decoys. I mean, even Paul himself talked about decoys. So then you've got the other thing. We've got no timeline. We've got no clue what the timeline is. So it's, you know, apart from the things that are registered on the phone when the work call started, or when the text went, and now they were saying about the phone moving to the bench. I mean, talk about cryptic language. You know, they believed the phone moved to the bench at a certain time. Well, so basically they don't know. Unless, as I say, there are things that they do know, but we won't know until the inquest. Because, you know, the police will always hold things back. Of course they will, especially if there's likely to be an investigation, or, you know, we just don't know. We just don't know. And anyone who tells you that they know, it's rubbish, because we don't know. So, what do we think of Peter Faulding? Has he been held up as the sort of scapegoat in all this? You know, that he's easy for the police to blame for the reasons why they didn't find Nicola. My feeling is he was brought in by the family. So the police didn't really want him there for whatever reason. We don't know that reason. Then, of course, after this, after Peter Faulding said that Nicola was definitely, categorically not in that part of the river, Paul did his interview with Dan Walker. And Paul said, it's definitely not the river. Anyway, I'm going to be showing you a bit of that video as well. And I just want to say I've taken this video from Send Trees, which is one of, also known as Super Chuffer, who you probably know, and he had the forethought to download this video and keep it, because I think it's sort of more or less disappeared otherwise off the internet. So I just want to say, I think he wouldn't mind that I've used it. If you do mind, I'm sorry, but anyway, I am using it. But I think, it is from that. I just want you to know that it is from that channel. Lots of interesting things on that channel. So I'll put the channel in the description box so you can go and have a look.
What do you think might have happened?
We've always tried to keep all options open because we don't want to shut down any avenue. We've always been very careful that we don't want to say, oh, we think it's that, and then push that when it might not be. The most obvious thing, of course, has always been the river. It's always been my gut instinct and her sisters and family that that isn't the case. Extensive searching, is probably well aware has gone on in that river. I mean, they were in there. I mean, I have to categorically say I cannot fault the police in any of this. They have been incredible, and the relationship that we have working on this is very, very strong. It's very good. So that this isn't any criticism of them at all. I want to make that clear. But the fact that they were in the divers and underwater rescue team and all that were in that river on the day, and thankfully found absolutely nothing in the part where you would, I guess, have to presume is her last known location. If you take all those things into account, the unlikeliness of it, you would have to sort of say that really the river isn't what happened. And so we always felt that the mobile phone and the harness and everything, it could possibly be a decoy. Again, we don't have evidence.
No, but these are things that you naturally would think about, because the team's call was still active at the time, wasn't it? And the Willow's harness is on the floor, and I'm sure these are things that constantly you're thinking about.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, like, the only thing we're bothered about is finding her. Like, there's nothing else matters. That's the only thing that we're bothered about, is just finding her. So, it's of course you're going to be thinking these things. And so the more searching of the river that went on, the more confident we were that it wasn't the river. Especially things like, again, it's not nice talking about it, but at the same time we've taken hope from it. The fact that no item of clothing or anything has been found anywhere where you would have thought something, would have...
Something might have been found, yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely nothing. So, for me, personally, and again, this is just my opinion, I'm 100% convinced it's not the river. That's my opinion.
And I suppose the question after that is, what then? And and the difficulty is you allowing your mind to think where she might be and what's happened to her, which is horrible as well, I imagine.
Yeah, it's horrendous, because people don't just vanish into thin air. It's absolutely impossible. So something has happened. Something has happened. Find out what it is. Find out what it is. There has to be a way to find out what happened. There has to be. You cannot walk your dog down a river and just vanish into thin air. Something happened that day. Something. Find out what it is. And my plea now is, personally, I want every house, every garage, every outbuilding, the land scrutinized. I want it all searched. I want it all scrutinized. Every piece of it.
Now, yeah, so suddenly, now, is it because of what Peter Faulding said that then Paul said, well, I personally think that phone was a decoy? Paul said that. You know, Paul said the phone was a decoy. Paul said she's definitely not in the river. Paul said, I want all the buildings searching. Well, you'll see in a minute. I'm going to play the clip for you. Paul, he's the one who said it. So then suddenly she was found in the river. So does that mean, how does Paul feel about Peter now? Or was Peter literally the scapegoat? Did Paul know that Nicola was not in the river then anyway? And, you know, this is the mystery, isn't it? Well, there's so many mysteries in this case. This is why we're all still talking about it. And we'll still talk about it until we get some official confirmation. Cause of death, how long in the river, what happened. We do need some evidence. Everybody keeps talking about evidence. There's no evidence for the police hypothesis. As far as we know, there may be evidence for it, but until they share the evidence with us for what happened, instead of, basically they were just speculating when they said their working hypothesis was that Nicola went in the river. That was speculation too. They didn't know it for sure. But if they have got evidence now that that's what happened and that she did it to herself, or why has it not been shared with us? I genuinely feel this silence before the inquest is not right. And, you know, I keep saying it's unusual. There's a reason for it. And whether we'll get any resolution on the 26th of June, I don't know. So let me know what you think about Peter Faulding. Has he sort of been set up, if you like, or was he useless in not finding Nicola? Should he have found her? You know, how do we think of him and think of it? Why was she not found? Because he wasn't the only, I mean, the police did search as well. There was a lot of people searched in the first couple of days. So why was she not found? And then suddenly she just sort of popped up just after Emma's last push. Because remember, if I remind you of the videos that I've done about Emma, that on the Friday before Nicola's body was found, Emma talked about the last push that her and the neighbours, etc., were doing to try and alert, you know, standing by the side of the road with the Nicola posters, asking for any information as the car, because that busy road, I mean, when you watch the videos of that road, it is so busy. I still can't believe that nobody saw Nicola had any dash cam. You know, if nobody had anything, if nothing came forward, then she wasn't there. She just wasn't there. So, but may turn out in the inquest that something has come forward. And this was Emma, wasn't it, when she was interjecting herself in the whole thing? Yes, today we're going to have this last push to try and find her. And I remember thinking at the time, what do you mean last push? Because surely if she's not found, you'll just keep on doing these appeals every week. You know, you won't just do it now and that's your last push and then, oh, sod it, can't be bothered doing it again. Lo and behold, on the Friday, Nicola is found. So it was the last push. How did Emma know it was the last push? And I will be doing these sort of back to basics videos that I'm doing building up to the inquest. I'm going to look again at Emma, because of course it's all gone quiet now. She's never on camera now saying anything. Well, that's probably because of the coroner. Be interesting to see if after the inquest she pops back up again, you know, having interviews with everybody. Yes, she's gone very quiet, and she was like the you know, she was the person sort of saying, oh yes, ring the, instead she was making the appeals, ring the whatever number it was to ring, but don't clog up the lines with false information. who the hell? You know, you just think, the more you look back at it, you just think, hang on, who is this person? I know they were friends or supposed, but I don't think they were that close friends. But I'm just thinking about my friends. If it had been one of my friends, I don't think it would have been me in the forefront of everything. As much as, you know, I would have been helping. You're helping, aren't you, in the background, and the family or the sister, or I mean, maybe they were too upset and they just couldn't do it. But I got the feeling that Emma just pushed herself forward. She was with Paul, like stuck to him like a shadow everywhere. Every interview he did, she was there. You know, so that to me is what's suspicious. And even if there was no foul play, there's definitely, in my eyes, something going on between those two. But you tell me what you think. And, you know, if you don't agree, don't agree. But you know what? That's how I feel. That's the feelings I have. I can't help that. Okay, so what do you think about Peter Faulding? Did you know about Peter Faulding? I'll say I think there are a lot of my new subscribers. I know the ones that have been watching for a while. You obviously, I'm sure you did know about Peter Faulding. But those new ones, did you know these things about him? You know, that he'd sort of offered his services free, and he said categorically that Nicola wasn't in the river, and it's led to all this sort of and then suddenly she was in the river. And you know, what do you think about it all? What do you all think about it? But gosh, I lost my thread then, what I was going to say. My opinion is I do feel Peter's been sort of hung out to dry a little bit. Now, he may have missed Nicola, you know, if she was tangled up in the reeds, and he admits himself that the sonar wouldn't pick that up, but he wasn't asked to do like the, you know, the search in the reeds, etc. He wasn't tasked to do that, and he was only allowed to do what the police allowed him to do. And why didn't the police allow him to do that? Is it because they'd already done it and they thought, well, there's no point? I mean, what difference would it have made? It's all very strange. I think the whole thing is strange. So he was there at the behest of the family, or Paul and Emma, and you know, the police didn't seem that happy with him being there, but you think they'd be just grateful for any bit of help they could get, really. So unless he was something else that we don't know, and they felt he was interfering with their investigation. So once again, there's a video. How long have I been talking? 41 minutes talking. We still don't, you know, you can talk about it, you can look at it, but we do not know. That basically is the upshot of it. But we're going to speculate about it. There's no avoiding it. We're going to speculate about it until we know something officially from the inquest. So my hopes are with James Adeley, and also something I'll be talking about later in the lives. There is a forensic pathologist, a Home Office forensic pathologist involved in this case. So our trust is with them for justice for Nicola, one way or another. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please like the video, and if you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. It's completely free. If you want to support my channel in any other way, you can buy me a coffee. You can join as a member, which is €1.99 a month, and you get some extra videos, but also just you are supporting my channel. Or I think you can buy me a super thanks. Now, some people have done that. I don't even know how you do that. Maybe that pops up on your end of the screen. But anyway, you can do that too. But do you know what? Just watching my videos and liking them and subscribing, they are the best ways and the free ways that you can support my channel. Thank you so much. I will see you later on the live stream. Adios. Oh, and don't forget to always live and love very carefully. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Thank you so much.